there, welcome in to this latest edition of the SAU Softball Coaches Show. I'm Daniel Gallegos, joined alongside by head softball coach Jason Anderson. Coach, second show of the year, kind of a little staggered now. You're 12 games into the season, played in some tournaments. You're 10-2 coming out of it. Obviously, you opened up the year at home, a great showing there. 10-2 through the first 12, getting ready to jump into conference play. But one of the bigger storylines coming out of the start of the year has been the national rankings. You started off preseason number 5, held there through the first poll, and then this most recent one, climbed all the way up to number 2, the highest ranking in program history. And a little bit of a long question coming off of this, but last year with the build-up to getting nationally ranked, feeling that you had that kind of a club, to finally get into recognition and throughout the season, get into the World Series, finishing 4th, all the things that come into that, transpose that into this year where you start off nationally ranked and relatively high, and then now you're at the highest that the program has been. How do you manage those expectations for your team? Because a lot of newcomers, a lot of new faces, and then also too knowing that the target on the back is just going to get bigger and bigger the higher up you get.
Well, we knew, I think in the first show we talked about going in these first 3 weeks how many new faces that we had. We had several freshmen and several transfers. So being 10-2 coming out of a very tough region schedule, I think we're good. Obviously, we knew we were going to take some lumps along the way, and I feel like we're basically 2 bad innings all year so far in 12 games from being 12-0. I think we had a couple innings there where we let things get away from us, made some errors, didn't pitch it as well as we should, didn't come up with a big hit like as our expectation, and so that puts us at 10-2. As far as the national rankings go, of course we're excited. It's a great honor to be number 2 in the country, and that has a lot to do with. We were very fortunate, I guess, if you want to say fortunate, for some other teams to have some losses as well. I mean, like you said, we start there in the top 5, and the way that works is depending on where you're ranked in the region is how they can vote for you. So we had some other teams in the top 5 that ended up dropping in their own region rankings and from a voter standpoint and able to jump to number 2. So I think it's a testament of how hard the girls are playing. You are right about the target on the back. I mean, that is something that the expectation here is that we're going to compete at a very high level year in, year out. So, I mean, the expectation or the us being number 2 is not a shock to us. I mean, I think these girls are bought in. They know that's the expectation. We've got a tough road ahead of us to stay there or even stay in the rankings for that matter, because there's so many games to be played and so many series and things. So, but they're ready for it. We've got to hit it. We've got to pitch it. We've got to play defense well. And then if we do that, then I think we're going to be okay.
Looking at these first 12 games of the year, you look at the numbers. There are some outstanding numbers that are being put up offensively. The numbers are incredible. In the pitching circle, they're really good. You kind of got spoiled last year and how really, really good the numbers were last year. So they're not taking anything away from this year's numbers. But you mentioned a lot of the newcomers and transfers, just a lot of new faces, almost essentially a new team in certain aspects. Talk us through some of the performances we've seen in the circle. Newcomer Victoria Taylor, freshman, has pitched outstanding. In the lineup, Jill Roy has been a main factor in the middle of the order, helping out everybody, the mainstays, Maddie Dow, Brooke Goad. Just talk us through some of the early season numbers.
Well, I mean, I guess if you're going to look as far as from the hitting side of it, and you mentioned Brooke and Maddie, no surprise there. Those girls have hit the ball every year they've been in college. Maddie's going to hit the ball and she's going to hit home runs. Brooke's the same way. They're going to hit for a good average. They're going to have RBIs and they're going to have home runs. And when Maddie gets hot, she's tough to get out. I mean, we've seen it in her career. I think she's hit 3 home runs twice at 2 different times in a game. So, I mean, when she's on, and we just hope she stays on for a long time. You mentioned Jill. Jill's no surprise to us. Jill was a very good hitter at the Division I level as a true freshman. Came here and she had to redshirt last year, but we knew how Jill could hit the ball. Obviously, she was kind of off the radar in last year's team because of the fact that she just didn't play. She had an injury and we had to redshirt her, but she is a tough out and can hit the ball hard and hits it as hard as anybody's our level. It jumps off her bat. So everybody else there, like I said, we're hitting 350 as a team. I'm definitely okay with that. We have 22 home runs, and I mean that's kind of how our lineup's built. I mean we're not going to steal a lot of bases, That's just we're not loaded with a bunch of slappers. I mean we're going to get up there and we're going to swing the bat, and we're playing for the offensive numbers. So I'm very pleased with where we are there. We've scored a lot of runs on the pitching side of it. Like I said, did get spoiled a little bit last year coming out, and we were 12-0 last year. At one point we had thrown 9 shutouts or something, which is unheard of, So I think we're one of the teams there. We're going to have to score a lot more runs. But true freshman Victoria Taylor, 7-0 in the circle for us. She's been a big pitcher for us early on and the reason for our success. Garner's come back, has been battling some injury, but she's 3-0 still and keeping her ERA down. And then we've we've got a pretty deep bullpen. So we know that we're going to have to be better in the circle at times. We can't rely on one or two girls. I think the days of doing that are over as far as our game goes. So we're going to have to pitch it top to bottom as a staff. And I feel like going into these 4-game series that we've got the arms we can throw at them. We can give them different looks. We're just going to have to be effective in how we do that.
You know, now the first 12 games, we'll call it the first part of the season, because now you're into kind of the meat of the schedule, the conference portion. The first 12 games, you know, you schedule it to try to benefit yourself for regional play, you know, the regional rankings and things like that towards the end of the year. But here's where the majority of it's going to come. 44 conference games are coming up on the schedule. You mentioned the 4-game series each and every weekend in conference play. Very difficult road lying ahead. First one, you're on the road at East Central, a team over the last few years in the conference. They've been one of the top teams, a very, very good team in both pitching and offensively. What are your expectations for this first conference matchup, going there and knowing that both teams, you know, they've got new faces and new places, and how that's going to play?
Well, I don't care who you're playing. To go on the road and beat someone 4 times is tough. And I don't care how good you think you are, or how good you think they are, how bad you think they are. To beat somebody 4 times is tough, especially in our league. So it's going to be tough to go over there. We got to play on the road. That means their home team all 4 games. So we're visitors. You know, you don't get that last chance in any of the 4 games to come back and you know, hit a walk-off or anything like that. And like you said before, they're a good team. They are a very good team. Of course, Destiny's been there a long time and started that program, I believe, but she's been there for several years and has done a great job. They're, you know, conference champions a couple years ago. So they definitely are going to be a team to be reckoned with. We're going to have to go over there, and like I said earlier, we're going to have to pitch it, we're going to have to hit it, and we're going to have to play defense. If we do that, we're going to be fine. I mean, we're going to go in there and have some success, and hopefully our goal is to go win the series, of course, and that's what our goal is every weekend. So we're going to have to play ball. If you go on the road and you kick the ball around a little bit, or you know, give up some 0-2 hits or doubles or 2 out, you know, if you're not pitching it well, or we're leaving runners stranded all day, then it's going to be tough for us. So we've got to go over there and pretty much play flawless for 4 straight games in order to go over and win a series.
I appreciate it very much for your time again. That's head softball coach Jason Anderson. He and his Lady Mule Riders not quite at home yet, still a couple weeks out before returning back home to in Magnolia, but they're on the road this weekend, a 4-game slate to open up Great American Conference play at East Central. Be sure to check MuleRiderAthletics.com for all your pre- and post-game coverage of that series. Coach, we appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thank you.